Good morning, everybody, and welcome to College Football Mornings, a new show that we are going to be doing throughout the season for you guys every weekday. Now, we also have our Saturday shows, the tailgate, that is obviously focused on everything going on Saturday, but it'll be a variety of hosts going throughout the week. You'll see me twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. You get the Campus Life duo of Austin and Colin on Tuesdays, and then Chris Moxley on Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe some special guests sprinkled in here or there. But we are excited to be sitting here and talking with you guys for all of this, really. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to go throughout the season. So for this show, for today, we got a couple little news items we're going to hit on. And the first one is Andrew Paul. Andrew Paul, unfortunately, on Saturday suffered a torn ACL in his knee, and we know will be out for the rest of the season. He's playing at Clemson. We know he'd probably be back by week 3, but that is not the case. Unfortunately, he is going to be out. All the reports are, though, is that it was a clean tear and that he should be good to go and back healthy by the start of, I would think, next season. So what does that mean for that backfield? Well, got Kendall Milton, we got Kenny McIntosh, we got Dejon Edwards, and we got Branson Robinson, the freshman, highly rated. I know us at Campus to Canton were much higher on Andrew Paul than most other services, even though we were still very high on Branson Robinson as well. From all the reports, Andrew Paul had jumped Branson Robinson throughout the fall camp. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can now kind of take back that job and be the guy. You know, nothing against Dejon Edwards or Kenny McIntosh, but I feel like the ceiling is higher with Branson Robinson and Andrew Paul. But obviously with him being out now, it's going to give Andrew Paul a ton of chance to Branson Robinson a ton of chance to shine right now with Andrew Paul being out. Another big news story that came out over the past couple days on Friday, Quinn Ewers was announced the starter of the Texas Longhorns. So if you guys follow anything that we do here at the channel, Devy debate, has been pretty contentious over the past couple days between Felix Sharp and myself because he was pumping up the love for Hudson Card, who he believed was going to be the starter. I had said all along that I thought Quinn Ewers would likely start, and in my opinion, should be the starter. Well, they announced him the starter on Friday, I believe is what it was. They had a scrimmage yesterday on Saturday. 2 days ago on Saturday. It was really good, or he had a really good scrimmage, apparently. It was closed to the media and everybody, so we don't know exactly. Can only go based on the reports of the team and the boosters, which everybody thinks make this decision anyways. I don't believe that. I mean, come on. They got Alabama week 2. Nothing against Hudson Card, but I think if you want a chance to win this, you've got to go with the better quarterback, and I do believe that is Quinn Ewers. I don't know necessarily that he's going to have a good game, and I do expect both of them to play against ULM in a couple weeks in week 1, but it makes sense now that Quinn Ewers was announced the starter. Last year, this was right around the same time they announced C.J. Stroud the starter over Kyle McCord. We're getting a bunch of other starting quarterbacks announced here of this week, because a lot of the teams don't play this week. Obviously, week 0, you've got about 8 to 10 games. Most of these teams are about to play in 2 weeks. So now that gives them all this time for their quarterbacks to run with the ones and really kind of get ready for the season. And let's just be honest, too. I think they were afraid to have Hudson Card possibly transfer out. You don't want, if Quinn Ewers goes down, they have nothing behind them if Hudson Card transfers out. Nothing. They've got the sophomore, I think Charles is his first name. I don't honestly remember. And they got Malik Murphy. Neither one of those guys are ready to play. So if Quinn Ewers were to go down and Hudson Card would have transferred out, had they told Quinn Ewers he was going to be the starter from the beginning of spring or beginning of fall, Texas would be in a bad spot. I know it's not necessarily fair to Hudson Card, but from all the rumors there too, and everything we've heard from him and his family, is that he actually wants to graduate from UT. So go get your education and see what happens there. But I'm excited to see what this means for Quinn Ewers and the Longhorns. Another quarterback that was announced, John Rhys Plumlee, wins the starting job for UCF. A lot of the CFF guys have been pumping him up and hoping that he got this job. I thought it was likely going to be Mikey Keene based on the season that he had last year toward the back end with with UCF. But John Rhys Plumlee gets it. I don't know that he's going to do a lot passing the ball, but he's definitely going to bring you some pretty big rushing upside from everything our CFF team says. So I think he's jumped up to like the top 10 to 15 for most of our CFF guys. So if he's on your waiver wire, I would suggest going and grab him. It looks like he's going to be in for a massive season this year for the UFC team. Last but not least, Open QB battles. Now, we know Texas Tech was just announced last night. Tyler Shuck did get announced a job, so we'll save that one for last. Going over to Cincinnati, this one's going to be very interesting. Both Ben Bryant and Evan Prater split reps on Saturday's scrimmage, and apparently both were up and down throughout the entire scrimmage. Coach Luke Fickell has been steadfast in saying there is no decision that has been made and that he understands that they're still 2 weeks away from the opener. That, to me, doesn't sound like a lot, but I guess he feels like it is. Supposedly, according to all the reports and anything that anybody's gathered, it does seem like Ben Bryant does have a slight edge over Evan Prater. I still think it's likely going to be Evan Prater who gets that job. Gino Guidaligi, is I believe how you say his last name. I might have butchered that, and if I did, I apologize. Helped develop Desmond Ridder into talks to be a first-round pick. I know he went to the third round, but he wasn't even getting third-round buzz just a couple years ago. So he definitely helped develop Desmond Ridder a little bit. He was the key recruiter on Evan Prater to get him to come to Cincinnati. And on top of that, if you look at the kid coming in the 2023 class, it is Brady Drogosh, who, spoiler alert, is just like Evan Prater and Desmond Ridder. He's got a type of quarterback that he likes. I just don't see it with Ben Bryant. I think Evan Prater is going to be it, even if Ben Bryant gets to start right off the bat. I would not be surprised if we see Evan Prater by like week 3, because Ben Bryant just couldn't do it with ECU last year. I don't know that he does it with Cincinnati, but apparently it is a close quarterback battle. We'll see if we get news of that anytime soon. Going on over to LSU, I'm very curious to see if we get this quarterback battle. I have not seen anything. I did go to bed early Sunday, and I haven't seen anything as of the time of this recording. They do have a big scrimmage on Tuesday, so we might find out by then who the starter was, but as of now, Jaden Daniels is in the lead over Garrett Nussmeier, and all they keep saying is because of experience, which doesn't really make much sense to me, because if you think Nussmeier is the better quarterback, in my opinion, you should just start him. But every time they talk about Jaden Daniels, just say he's got experience. He's got experience. He brings experience. So Kelly has said that he could see both of them playing in week 1 and getting playing time. So we'll see what that means for them. And he also had like a very weird statement where he said, just because one guy starts week 1 doesn't mean he'll be the starter in like week 11. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to take away from that. Like, is it you don't have faith in, say, Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier to be your quarterback throughout the season? Like, I've not been honestly a big fan of the whole LSU experiment here with Brian Kelly. I personally do not think it's going to go well. I feel I'm clearly in the minority on that, but it's been weird, this whole thing. Last but not least, before we get into Texas Tech, North Carolina, inexplicably, in my opinion, Mack Brown is still not ready to announce a start again last that I saw. The Tar Heels are literally playing in 5 days. They play Florida A&M, and I understand it's Florida A&M, so they may not be that scared of them. They have a week 0 game, and they have yet to announce their starter. It seems like everybody's leaning toward it being Drake May, but that has not been announced. And many are speculating that they will both play in week 1 and that they want to see kind of live reps to decide who separates themselves to get the starting job. Now, I don't know that that's a bad thing. It could end up working out for them, but it worries me just in the fact of, like, again, I get that it's Florida A&M, but if you're not getting that rhythm and that cohesiveness on offense because you keep switching out quarterbacks every drive or every other drive, like, what if Florida A&M beat you because you couldn't just make a decision? I get it. Same as we talked about with Texas. You don't want one of these guys to transfer. Jacoby Criswell is a really good quarterback. So is Drake May. Whoever you decide may transfer. They also may not. But you've got to get your offense ready and good to go. And I feel like taking Florida A&M as just like a quick little speed bump is maybe a bad idea if you're not getting your offense going. Maybe I'm wrong, and they'll completely blow them out. That part of it is what it is. Last but not least, Texas Tech. So they had a big scrimmage on Saturday, and there was rumors that they may not announce them until sometime this morning. Late last night, Joey McGuire did come out and announce that Tyler Shuck is getting the job. He will be the starter. The former Oregon transfer, played in 4 games last year, has a job. What I also think is very interesting, though, is he has said that all 3 of them will see time in week 1 against Murray State. I feel like that kind of helps propagate what I've said, that I think Tyler Shuck has a really short leash, but we know he's going to be the starter. What I am more intrigued on is if he does play all 3 of them, who comes out second? Is it Donovan Smith, the guy who really came on at the end of last year for them, looked good, then had a couple bad games, had some really, really impressive throws? Or is it going to be Baron Morton, who a lot of us really like and think could be the next guy there? Whoever that 2 is, I'm very intrigued to find out because I do think Shuck is on a short leash. And if he starts to struggle or loses a game or two, I would not be surprised if Joey Maguire pulls him and they go to that second guy. So that's what I'll be watching out for. We know Shuck's going to be the starter, but who is the number 2 quarterback going out there? Next up, and every Monday we're going to be doing this, Chris Moxley is going to join me for just a minute, and we're going to talk about the best bets for week 0. Guys, cut him a little bit of slack because he is still recovering from COVID. But Moxley, give us your best bets for week 0.
Welcome into our Monday morning picks segment. The goal of this segment each week is going to be to provide the first look at lines before we see movement, generally from the public, later in the week. Granted, for week 0, which is this week, most of these lines have been out for a few months, so the edge is nearly gone. But again, it would not surprise me if we see certain lines pass key numbers. What I mean by key numbers, and something that we're probably going to end up talking about a lot on this show, is common margins of winning or totals. For example, the most common numbers that teams win by are 3 and 7, or multiples of those numbers. The most common are 3, 7, 10, 14, 17, 21. If you notice a pattern, those are numbers that we're going to want to keep our numbers within. So when we come on Monday morning, I will caveat a lot of what we talk about and the picks that we give with, if it passes one of those key numbers, that's probably a time to stay away. 9, for example, is kind of a key number, and it's actually going to be one that's popular on some of the picks that I give today. I don't put that much stock into that number, so we can pump the brakes when I talk about it later. Let's dive into 2 of my favorite lines. We have a handful of week 0 games. However, not all of them have lines. Some of them are like Western Kentucky versus Austin Peay, while others are Nevada at New Mexico State. One of my favorite games to play this week. Currently, Nevada is favored by 9.5, and the over-under of this game is 50.5. Both of those numbers have actually dropped precipitously since going live. It opened at 53.5, and Nevada actually opened as a 13-point favorite. They're currently a 9.5-point favorite. And I am taking New Mexico State and the points here. So I want New Mexico State plus 9.5, and I will take them, and I want them if it falls to 9 as well. Under 9, I might take it at 8.5, but I really don't want to go any further than 9 if I don't have to. That is the way that I think you should play this game. I'm worried about this Nevada Wolfpack team. They returned 25% of last year's production, which ranks 131st in the nation. They rank dead last in returning production. The mass exodus of talent affects both sides of the ball, really, in this case. They lost Clay Millen, who is the quarterback of the future. They lost 3 wide receivers who played over 500 snaps in 2021. They've also lost Elijah Cooks, who, when healthy, is one of the best receivers in the conference. Their quarterback is probably going to be Nate Cox week 1. Even if it's Shane Illingworth, it doesn't really matter to me. In Cox's only start, he went 12 for 23, 121 yards, a touchdown, and an interception against Western Michigan in their bowl game. Assuming he starts, I don't have a lot of confidence in this team. New Mexico State is a defense that actually returns a lot of production. They don't quite have the same high-end skill talent, but they return 85.4% of their defensive production, ranked 5th in the nation. That continuity is really going to matter in this instance when they have no continuity on the other side of the ball. I don't like this Nevada team. I am worried that they're not going to be able to move it on offense, and I don't like this Nevada defense either. It is the better of the 2 units, offense and defense, but the only player I have any confidence is defensive tackle Don Peterson. He's the best player on this team, but I think he can cause damage against New Mexico State line, but I don't like the rest of the front 7. They only have 3 career starts among the other 6 players outside of Peterson, and the secondary only has 1 starter from last year's team. I do not like this Nevada team. New Mexico State is going to play slow. New Mexico State brings in Jerry Kill. Jerry Kill is someone who's going to manage the ball, run the ball, keep this game as close as possible. 9.5 is just too many points for this matchup. That's why I like New Mexico State. Ultimately, Nevada probably has more talent on an individual level. Nevada ultimately has more talent on an individual level, And the Aggies defense matches up favorably against the Wolfpack offense, considering that they return more productivity than Nevada does. And they have system continuity, which is also really important in this case. I think both teams take a conservative approach, and we see Nevada not able to cover that 9.5. Second game, which is one that I think is very similar to the first for a lot of the same reasons, is Vanderbilt at Hawaii. Vanderbilt's favored by 6.5, and the over-under in this game is 54.5. I believe some books have it at 55, but I'm not really touching the total for now. Hawaii is one of the worst teams in returning production as well. I think they're second last next to Nevada. The Todd Graham left this program in really bad shape. They're not great. The defense returns only 16% of their production. They lose Jonah Ulu and they lose Darius Masua to UCLA and Oklahoma, respectively. I don't trust the secondary at all. They only returned 60 snaps from last season. They have 2 okay transfers, but they don't have any continuity. Their offense is terrible. They don't return any production. Their top quarterback, Javon Cadero, is gone. Data Hunter is gone. Receiver Nick Mardner is gone. They don't know who their quarterback is going to be quite yet. The best on offense is their offensive line. However, they return 3 of 5 starters, and guard Solo Vepulu, who is probably the best team player on this offense, does return, and I have a bit of confidence they have around him. However, Vanderbilt actually returns 29% of their, or they rank 29th in returning production, returning 74%, specifically at defense. I think this defense is going to cause the Rainbow Warriors some serious problems this week. The front seven's a good matchup for this offensive line, but I think the offensive line is also good. However, I don't know if they are going to have an answer for linebacker Anthony Orji, who is probably one of the best at the position, to be totally frank. The secondary is also excellent for Vanderbilt, and if Timmy Chang wants to continue his air raid routes, then I think they're going to have a problem. I really like the duo they have in Jalen Mahoney, and they brought in grad transfer Jeremy Lucien. He's a good player, and so I really am quite interested to see how I think Hawaii is going to score on this defense, because I think they're going to have problems doing so. I like Vanderbilt's offense. I think that their offensive line matches up much better than to Hawaii's defensive line, which I think is going to struggle some. The return of Ramon Davis is going to help this offense. Mike Wright is an elite dual threat quarterback. I think he also can push the ball downfield. Hawaii's secondary is quite bad. They have 8 career starts among that 4, so 2 safeties, 2 corners. I like Wright's dual threat ability. I think he can tear up this defense pretty good. I think getting Vanderbilt at 6.5 is very important, though. Getting them at 7 is probably in a void for me. So if I can get them at 6.5, which is currently where they are, that's where I want to play. Again, we talk about 7 as a key number. It's more likely that is going to be a push than if we had 6.5, which is why I want to take Vandy with these points. The strength of Vanderbilt, the linebackers, the secondary, it's a good matchup against what the Rainbow Warriors probably want to do. That's why we're taking these 2 games early in the week.
All right, so thank you very much to Chris Moxley, who again took time out of his day dealing with COVID to take care of that. So last but not least, I just want to give you guys a heads up of what the future of this show is going to look like. Obviously, as of now, the season is technically not kicked off yet, but this is opening week, at least for us heading into week 0. Typically on these shows, it will most often be me hosting it. We'll kind of go into some wrap-up stuff. Maybe we'll talk some high school stuff, but we'll definitely talk wrap-up of the key games. We will talk about any key injuries or news that have happened on Mondays. And then at the end of every Monday show, we will announce a new thing we're doing this year, where we will announce our Campus to Canton Player of the Week and Campus to Canton Freshman of the Week live here on the show. We'll also blast it all over Twitter, so I'm super excited about that. Moving forward, every other day of the week, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you'll get multiple other hosts. On Tuesday, you'll get the Campus Life duo everybody loves, Colin Decker and Austin Nace. They will continue to go over waivers and anything else. Wednesdays and Thursdays, you're going to get Chris Moxley. If you guys loved College Filtered or College Unfiltered, College Football Unfiltered, I can't remember what it was, but it's a great show. Last year, he did that for a lot of mornings back last year. He's coming back. He's going to handle betting, all kinds of stuff on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then Fridays, I'll be back in the driver's seat again. We're going to preview some stuff for the weekend, and we are going to hit high school stuff hard. Just dropped our Friday Night Lights show and everything on the YouTube channel. So I'm really excited about that. But that will be the future of what these shows will look like during the season. And again, of course, we'll be live Saturday, 2 shows live on Saturday. Saturday morning, the tailgate, and then Saturday night, college fantasy tonight. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Everything you need is linked down in the description, so just check that out. And Austin and Colin will be back tomorrow. You guys will see me again on Friday. Everybody have a safe week and enjoy your morning. Thanks for getting up early with college football.